morning, everyone. Welcome to the National Vehicle Residency Collective Summit of 2024. My name is Dee Powers, and I'm going to play a video or two for you on behalf of Graham before he gets started. Let's see if I can get it to work.
My name is Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Robin.
Hi, my name is Jimmy.
Hi, my name is Gabby.
And I'm Tyler.
Hi, I'm Yuri.
I am a grad student at Rutgers University in New Jersey and a volunteer with the National Vehicle Residency Collective.
I'm a traveling Bikram yoga instructor.
I work as a musician, singer, songwriter. I've been traveling on the road doing that pretty much my whole life.
I work as a graphic designer, remote.
And I work as a sole purpose coach and astrologer.
I work as a CTO for accessibility company, Looking Bus.
I'm a yoga nerd, proudly.
I geek over being outside.
What do I geek out?
I geek out over these Crown buses. I started looking at them about 13, 14 years ago.
I really like sunset and sunrise. I usually get up just before the sunrise, and sunset is my golden hour. I just love to stop everything and watch the sunset.
I geek out over well-designed things and photography.
I contribute to the community by making friends everywhere I go and trying to always leave a place better than I found it.
I contribute to the communities I live in by helping people connect to the resources that they need every day.
Oh gosh. I contribute to the community by, I guess, maybe just playing a little bit of music.
Wherever I go, I pick up the garbage around me, I clean up behind me, and I always try to leave the space cleaner and nicer than I found it.
The National Vehicle Residency Collective is important because living in a vehicle is very stigmatized, and there needs to be a place where everyone can exist and breathe and park legally without having to be worried about being kicked out in the middle of the night.
NVRC is important to me. Actually, as a child, I lived in a school bus on the side of the road and had to stand out in front of it and catch the school bus in 7th grade. And so, yeah, the stigma, overcoming that and letting people see that it is a viable, valuable option of a way to live is important.
NVRC is important to the community because as a single woman traveling alone, one of my biggest concerns is where I'm going to park for the night and if I'm going to feel safe. And if the program like this would allow me a safe place to park, whether it was for one night or whether it was for a month if I needed to, I would know that I would always have a safe place to park and be amongst people that I might actually get to know and not have to huddle in my road trek by myself because I don't know who I'm going to run into.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that video. I want to first off, we'll talk a little bit about that video and watch another one in a sec. I want to thank Lisa B, our longstanding member who helped to produce that video, member profiles video. I hope you all enjoyed that, and we'll be sharing those shortly to our social media. But before we talk more about that, I just wanted to welcome you all. Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Dr. Graham Pruss, the director and co-founder of the National Vehicle Residency Collective. And I am delighted to host another amazing second day, or the second day of our summit. And it is truly heartwarming to see all of you back for another day of discussions and learning and growth together. I hope that you found inspiration in this member's profile video that we saw, again, filmed by Lisa B. During the 2024 Schoolypalooza recently in Arizona. We had for those of you who are able to attend, you might have seen some familiar faces. We had a potluck dinner, actually, for the National Vehicle Residency Collective this January in Arizona. We're looking forward to continuing those and having more in-person meetings, and would love to hear from you on how you'd like to see those operate. These stories that you saw shared vividly illustrate the resilience, the creativity, and diversity within our community. And we're continuously looking for more members to feature in these profiles to share on our social media platforms. And if you're interested in sharing your story, please let us know. You can reach out to me directly. You can reach out to Marika or Ren or any of us on our social media, Dee as well. Your experiences enrich our community and help others to understand the diverse journeys and lives of vehicle residents. As we've talked about multiple times yesterday, and we'll talk about more today, our collective thrives under a big tent, embracing the varied needs of vehicle residents while respecting and valuing their unique experiences, their strengths, and strategies. This summit is a platform for us to share ideas, to learn from each other, and celebrate the multitudes of ways people use vehicles as housing to meet their needs and thrive. Today's agenda is packed with engaging and informative sessions. Here are just a few of the presentations you can look forward to. The amazing session that's going to be hosted by Jake Hoster on vehicle residents provide important and necessary seasonal labor. Jake will be discussing the various economies and employers that benefit from vehicle residents, showcasing the essential role that our community plays in different industries across the United States. There's also a great session on how to launch a parking program, which features insights and challenges on the challenges and opportunities of starting parking programs. And this panel will discuss, includes people who operate the largest parking program in the United States, a small church that successfully hosted vehicle residents for a decade, the Colorado Safe Parking Initiative that runs parking programs across the Denver metro area, and a new city-run lot in Bellevue, Washington State that's actually funded by city resources. A pretty amazing model for people living in RVs. You could also attend the Addressing Medical Challenges for RV Residents by Dr. Ruth Treader, who will be sharing her nursing work and her research to better connect vehicle residents with a continuum of care as they move across the country. These sessions are designed to be interactive and informative, providing practical knowledge and fostering a deeper understanding of our community's diverse experiences. As we move through the day, I encourage you to take notes and gather your thoughts for a final discussion sessions on how to thrive, criminalization and displacement and solutions, and issues facing vehicle residency. These open discussions, which are moderated by our members, are your opportunity to share your insights and your experiences. And your input is crucial and will shape the future work planning and our next year's summit. In addition, we're going to be dropping some questions into chat right now that we want to have a little bit of a conversation to start the day off, learning from you of what you heard from the first day, what you're looking forward to more from this day, and what other type of work you'd like to see the National Vehicle Residency Collective involved in. But our work doesn't end with this summit. We are a vibrant, dynamic community committed to making a difference. And I invite you to join our regular meetings where we come together to discuss ongoing projects, share our updates, and brainstorm new ideas. These meetings are an excellent way to stay connected, informed, and involved. And you can find out more on how to join at www.vehicleresidency.org. Consider being part also of our leadership group. This is an opportunity to take an active role in guiding our collective efforts, in shaping our strategies, and making impactful decisions. Your leadership and vision can help steer our community towards greater achievements. We also have numerous volunteer opportunities, whether it's helping to organize events like the ones that you've attended to yesterday and today, conducting research like looking into the number of people who are living in vehicles across the country so we have a better understanding of the scope and level of need of this community, and providing direct support to vehicle residents. Your time and talents can make a significant impact. Volunteering is a fulfilling way to contribute to our cause and help make a real difference in the lives of our community members. The anthropologist Margaret Mead once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Her words inspire me, and I hope that they will inspire you as we continue our efforts to create positive change. Please remember that videos of each session will be posted to YouTube for those who wish to revisit or share them later on. And I want to give another heartfelt thank you to our sponsors. I'll do it again, sure, later on, but the National Homelessness Law Center, the Oak Foundation, Stratius, and Vandaroo with their app. And I encourage you to go check out their app that helps connect vehicle residents with local economies and businesses. Your support has been instrumental in making this summit a reality. I also, again, want to express my deep gratitude to our dedicated team, Marika MacArthur, who has been out with illness, but helped so much in coordinating all of this work. Jake Hoster, Dave Nain, Dee Powers, and Ren Tai, who pulled together at the last minute, along with a whole host of other people, to make sure that this has been a successful summit. Your hard work and dedication are the backbone of this event. And to all of our NVRC members who've contributed their time and efforts, this summit would not be possible without your unwavering commitment. Thank you, everyone who has attended, and for your dedication to this important cause. Together, we can create a brighter future for everyone in our community. I hope you enjoy the summit. I look forward to another day of learning, sharing, and growing together. And I want to actually end this by sharing, actually, before we get into another set of videos, so we do have another set of member profile videos, we'd love to have answer some questions from you, have a brief conversation about what information you learned during day one, what sessions that you're looking forward to today, what should be the focus of our next summit, and what else you would like to see. I see that some people wrote that, this is some great comments. We have, I learned that our Fourth Amendment rights are fragile. Very true. That was a great presentation yesterday, both on the criminalization of vehicle residency and on the rights of privacy for van life. I encourage you to watch those later on if you didn't have a chance to see them at the time. They'll be posted on YouTube. It was excellent information. Another person wrote that criminalization of vehicle residence is presented as a 0% fiscal impact, and that is a lie. I agree completely, and I'm not sure exactly if that was presented in our session as having $0 fiscal impact, but I know very much that our presenters and legal advocates that we work with definitely see that there is a significant legal impact to the criminalization of vehicle residents, not only on the people who are criminalized, vehicle residents themselves, the loss of their property, the tickets, fines, but also on our society as a whole. As Jake Hoster will be sharing, we're a very important, vehicle residents are a very important part of our economy, and criminalizing this important labor force is also detrimental to our total society's economy. Another person wrote that there are ways for vehicle residents to self-report to the U.S. Census online. That's actually, I think, a really valuable, interesting piece of information that not everyone may have known about, or that even the U.S. Census was interested in knowing the accurate number of people who are living in vehicles to help make sure that people have their rights preserved, that they have voting opportunities extended, that people have funding that may be available as a community. Also, somebody said that I learned as a university employee, there is more that our schools can do for our vehicle resident students, such as having a continued parking space dedicated to them. Absolutely. That's something there's been a lot of work over probably the past 5 years in different communities around trying to develop parking programs specifically at education centers, at community colleges and universities for people, particularly students, students who cannot afford to live in the areas where they're attending school. And there's also many people that are living even in safe parking programs who are teaching or attending school. And there's a tremendous need in communities across the country to be able to work with our educational partners to provide spaces for people living in vehicles. Another person wrote, Grants Pass had a steep increase in housing cost due to gentrification and population surge. I thank you for bringing that up. That was something I learned new as well. That was a really interesting piece of information that was shared by Antonio Fasanelli at our plenary yesterday morning, that looking at the actual history of Grants Pass and how the population actually doubled, I think she said from 20,000 to 40,000 people as new incoming people were moving from, I think, California, and that the cost of housing increased significantly and that many of the people living there were displaced. And as we've talked about many times, that those experiences are often mean displacing into vehicles, and that people are living in their vehicles in Grants Pass as a way to maintain a connection to their longstanding communities, to their families and friends, their medical systems and their social service systems, and their economies. So it's a very important background to understand, particularly around this critical Supreme Court case, Johnson versus Grants Pass, which we are undoubtedly going to hear more about in the coming week. Next week is when that case is expected to be shared, or the ruling on that case is expected to be released. Another person wrote, I was inspired by the WASH program, which is the Water Access, Sanitation, and Hygiene program, an example of how collaboration between businesses, nonprofits, and public sectors could connect vehicle residents with services to meet diverse needs. I got to say, I agree completely. I'm always inspired by those programs and seeing how people are able to innovate to meet the needs of people, recognizing that if a person doesn't have the ability to move their vehicle and they don't have a place that they can dump their septic tank, some people have no other option or see that they have no other option but to dump it in other places, potentially even into storm drains. And that has a significant effect. It has a significant effect on the vehicle resident community, on the neighbors of people living in vehicles or otherwise right around a vehicle that may dump. Sometimes people just dump right onto the street. And these sorts of programs provide the assistance necessary and the infrastructure, in a sense, right? That actually having that truck there that can help someone remove that septic waste from their home is a necessary part to people living healthy lives and people maintaining a good relationship with their communities and with our total environment. So I encourage you to learn more about that if you're interested, and go back and watch that session as well if you were unable to. Somebody wrote, I'm reading through the question. Okay, this is a great one. Okay, so somebody wrote, actually Ginny wrote, I get a lot of questions about how to talk to business owners who complain so angrily and bitterly at city council meetings about RV groups on back streets. I got ideas about solutions I can bring up to city council. I thought a lot about all of the friends who identify as homeowners, but who are snowbirds and dream of living in a van or retirement, or who were burned out in the campfire in 2018 and still bristle at the mention of the time they lived in a vehicle. Absolutely. I think that's we're going to talk more about how to, how to launch parking programs today, which is helpful for people living in vehicles, but also about raising public awareness and about what we can do today to actually shift the narrative around vehicle residency, to remind people that so many of our neighbors that are living in vehicles are important parts of our communities, important parts of our economy. And often, as you mentioned, like the campfire, I actually interviewed many people who were displaced by the campfire directly into their vehicles during a large survey in California a few years ago. And absolutely met people who not only lost everything they had and felt during that fire, also Santa Cruz fire. We see this in Maui, as was discussed yesterday. We're seeing these in natural disasters all across the country, or maybe I should say environmental disasters all across the country. And as people are moving into these vehicles, they're often using them as a short-term piece of housing. But if they don't have a place to move out of that vehicle or a place to locate that vehicle, they may be living in there for many years later. And often communities, city councils, local businesses, local housed neighbors may shift in their perception of people living on the streets in vehicles. One of the things that we saw in Santa Cruz when the Santa Cruz Lightning Complex fire destroyed lots of the Santa Cruz Mountains a few years ago was that the streets of Santa Cruz filled with people living in RVs and trailers and trucks and campers, because these were people who generally were either donated a vehicle or were lucky enough to have one and flee the fires. For the first month, many of the people there were seen as refugees, as fire refugees, and there was a lot of posters around "Stand Strong" for each other, and that we'll be here to support each other. But after about a month, you saw that shifted into sort of a perception that people were saying we need to remove this population from the streets. And a couple years later, you could see that the oversized vehicle ordinance in Santa Cruz was rolled out, which was discussed yesterday in the panel by Reggie Meisler and many others, with Reggie Meisler and many others. I encourage you to go back and watch that as well. This is one of the things I would actually like us to talk more about as the collective, is the intersection of environmental catastrophe, displacement, and vehicle residency, because we hear these stories so often. One person mentioned that they're looking forward to the How to Launch a Parking program. I love it. It's a simple comment, and I'm really looking forward to that too. That panel with several amazing operators of parking programs across the country, particularly the West Coast, are going to be sharing how they launched their program, some of the challenges they observed, how they worked around those challenges, how they brought together their community to meet the needs of people living in vehicles, and also how they were able to expand beyond just a starter, a few sites, to something that could actually address the need of people living in vehicles across a whole region. So it's going to be an amazing program if you're looking to learn more about how to launch a parking program in your own community. So here's a great one. All the criminalization discussions, as somebody said that they liked all of the criminalization discussions, as that is the number one problem for our well-being. I think that this should be, they said, I think this should be the main focus of the next summit, since we can't live freely if we aren't really free. Really well put. Thank you so much for that comment. And I think that's a great point. We often come back to criminalization. We come back to talking about these issues because they are so important on our lives and they affect people all the time. I don't want to say too much, but because I don't want to expose the person. We actually had a member who was arrested last night while during a rehearsal for a session today. We are helping the person to raise their bond and to get out of jail. But this is an exact example. The person was in trying to be part of this, to present this information, was told to move along and did move along, and yet was arrested afterwards anyway. This is exactly the kind of why we do this work. As I've mentioned several times, this is one of my favorite quotes, that without a legal place to exist, nomads are rendered illegal whatever they do. I think this is a really good example of how true that is, and why this work to raise awareness around the criminalization and fight against the criminalization of people and make sure people have a legal space to exist is just so very, very important. As you said, we can't live freely if we aren't really free. Somebody also mentioned Ginny mentioned that they wanted to get ideas to try and get their city council to stop putting off developing a safe parking place for 5 years. I think that's a great idea. We need to have that groundswell of support, and we need to be moving these things forward. And again, I encourage you to attend the How to Launch a Safe Parking Program, because they're going to be a session which is at 11 a.m. Today, next sessions. which is going to be in breakout room 1. And I encourage you to attend that because you'll be learning a lot about how those communities were able to work with their city councils and local elected officials to be able to move these programs through and actually get them developed. I also encourage you to check out the session at 12:30 called The Stones Will Shout, Pathways for Faith Partners with Bill Curlin-Hackett and William Sweeney. That session will focus on creating parking programs in faith-based lots, so churches and synagogues and temples. This is a very common approach, and it's one way that some communities have been able to move forward in developing parking programs when the local elected officials may not actually be able to be as willing or interested in developing funding for city-sponsored or county-sponsored programs. Encourage you to check that out. Another person mentioned that maybe the next summit, a great point, should focus on disabled and senior issues. This is a really, really important point. As we've mentioned, as you may notice, if you're a member of this community or work with this community, there is a large number of people who are living in vehicles who are disabled and who are seniors, and often are living in vehicles specifically for reasons that are related to disability or being a senior. Often people on fixed or limited incomes find living in a vehicle to be far more affordable than market rate housing, and also allows them to visit loved ones, to travel, be in places that are better for their healthcare, for their medical conditions, and also just to be able to find work on the road, doing different type of work, different type of activities that match their disabilities, that they can and their age, and their ability levels to live their lives to the fullest. Somebody wrote, and this is a good one, I'm glad that you learned this, but I didn't know how much of a big deal it was when police got involved with vehicle residents and displacing people from their RV home. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that somebody learned that. I think that's really important because for so many people living in their vehicles, they know that the knock or the knock of doom is one of the, if you're lucky if you haven't experienced it, and if you have, it can be one of the most frightening things. And not only that, but then the subsequent direction to move along. Often there can be tickets, there can be impounds if the vehicle is immobile, particularly in cities. There's often actions in which police are involved in removing the person from the vehicle, actually removing the vehicle itself. And we see that people lose their entire possessions if they're unable to get them out of the vehicle. I've in my research, I've seen this many times of RVs that are actually being auctioned off for as little as $1 so that the tow lots can actually clear out their space because they have so many RVs that are being impounded by police actions. And those RVs that are auctioned off for $1 will be full of medical prescriptions, medical documentation, family heirlooms, all of which is likely to be disposed of and is lost from the individual. And this can be absolutely devastating. I want to be conscious of our time. We're still doing good. Another person said, how do people with mobility issues like the elderly and arthritic live in their vehicle? I think that they're looking for practical advice on that. That's a great question. Actually, I think that would be a good question for a future summit session. I think that I personally am probably not the right person to answer that. And I would love to bring in some of our experts who are living in vehicles, some of our members who work with the medical communities and within the medical communities and do research around that, about how people with mobility issues, again, like the elderly or arthritic, can live in their vehicles. What sort of advice can be offered to stay healthy and active and thrive? Peggy Lee asked if the next sessions, or maybe we should say the next summit, can focus on how to create mutual aid systems. I love that idea, and it's something that mutual aid is so common in this community. Yesterday, you heard from Janet Douglas, who runs the Luna Gaia Nomadic Community, which is in a sense a mutual aid group. The Home on Wheels Alliance, which does a tremendous amount of community outreach and community organization, also does some fundraising to help with the Nomad Fund for people on the road, is another example of a mutual aid group. There are another one which I don't think has been mentioned, but we would love for them to be part of this, is the Van Aid movement, which is a Van Aid event, which is an event that helps people connect with other vehicle residents to do volunteer construction on their vehicles to build out beds or platforms or solar panel systems, electrical systems, with people who are experts at that and have done it for many years. So there's just an amazing amount of mutual aid networks that are already in this community. I think it'd be a great idea. I love that for to bring that in for a future session. Somebody wrote, I would like to see a discussion on the right to remain and the right to roam, taken through the legal, human rights, and anti-colonial, decolonial angle. I'm not sure who wrote that, but that's I really appreciate that and that wording. That's near to my heart. I'd love to talk with you. Reach out to me specifically about that, because I think that is very important. And I think that, and I would love to do that too. So I think that is a great idea for us to talk about for a future session or for a future summit. Specifically, those. Sometimes it can be an uncomfortable conversation to talk about colonization and to sort of link colonization, settler colonization in the United States and North America with vehicle residency. It sounds like a bit of a stretch, but I think that for many people who've looked through the history of vehicle residency and the history of settler colonialism in the United States, you can see that these are very tightly linked. And that there is a very important conversation to be had there about the legal human rights of people, of vehicle residents, and really looking at that through an anti-colonial, decolonial angle. I really love that comment. Thank you. Somebody also wrote, I think this is going to probably be our last one before we go into our last videos, but one person wrote, local vehicle residents want to be involved in solutions. Some are disabled, but would like to contribute to the extent that they are able. Perhaps the session for next year could focus on the logistics of working with sorry, this is, I can't see. It's cut off for some reason. I don't know what that word is. With people with aim, I'm not sure, of compensating people who are engaged but have varying capacity. In addition, strategies for linking to and including those who want to contribute when they are traveling through. I think that's a great idea. I think what we're talking about there is a session on the logistics. Oh, there, now that went away. On the logistics of working with and compensating people who are engaged with but have varying capacity. How people can be working and also being, I think, probably compensated in other ways than just money, while they, with their varying levels of capacity, of abilities and needs. And really linking people who want to contribute when they're traveling through. And actually, again, I encourage you to check out the Stratius Vanderoo app, which is very much about that, about vehicle residents traveling through areas and being able to connect with local businesses and being showing sort of their value to the total community. I'm going to ask one last question, maybe one more point, and that was I'd like to learn about best practices or experiences on mobilizing local community members that may support a safe parking program but do not know how to get involved. That is great, and I think that's exactly where that is exactly the kind of thing that you will learn in the session at 11 o'clock on how to launch a parking program. I think that we could even continue to have that specific conversation about how to mobilize work around starting a parking program, and really look forward to having that at our next summit as well. I want to thank you, everybody, for the questions. Oh, somebody did ask to mention where the Nomad was arrested. They want to avoid it. It was in Florida. So I don't want to give any more details on that because I don't want to out the person if they don't want to share their experiences, but it was in Florida is where it occurred. So I just want to thank everybody again for those great questions and comments. I'm so happy that you've all have gotten so much out of this session so far, out of the summit so far. I'm excited for the rest of the day. Look forward to having more conversations with you. And again, encourage you throughout the day to write down questions that you may want to bring to the final discussion at the end of the day. which is going to be at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those 3 discussion groups, which again are how to thrive in a vehicle, criminalization, displacement, and solutions is number 2, and number 3 is issues facing vehicle residency. So please write down questions you have for that and bring them to there. Otherwise, we're going to end with one more group of member profile videos that were created by our member Lisa B. Again, thank you, Lisa, for putting these together. Again, please reach out to us if you are interested in being part of these member profile videos. We would love to include you in there and increase showing the diversity of this community. This is only a few people that we met during one day at the Schoolie-Palooza event in 2024. So it only shows just a sliver into some of the members of this community, but this is a start and we want to grow this further. So please, again, reach out to us if you'd like to be part of these member profiles. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, a great time at the summit, and I'm going to close out and leave you with this last video. Thank you.
My name is Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Robin.
Hi, my name is Jimmy.
Hi, my name is Gabby.
And I'm Tyler.
Hi, I'm Yuri.
I love the nomadic lifestyle because this gets to be your backyard. Those mountains over there are really cool, and there's a cactus over there, and that's pretty dope too.
I love living in this bus because it's just so peaceful and inspiring, and I can't believe how well I sleep inside of it.
One of the best things about living in this lifestyle is freedom. I get up in the morning, I go to sleep, and the feeling of freedom is just amazing.
One of the best things about living in our bus is our deck, our rooftop deck, and we get to practice yoga up there.
Oh, that was going to be mine.
Did say it.
One of the best things about living in my vehicle is I never wear out my welcome and I always leave them wanting more.
Something people might not know about me is that I am a past USA weightlifting national champion in the 48 kilo weight class. Yeah.
My best trait is my smile.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what a trait is.
Something you might not know about me is that I was a discus and hammer thrower in college.
Something you may not know about me is I can burp the ABCs.
One of the biggest challenges is, I guess, people thinking that I'm in an unfortunate situation or I'm in a situation that I didn't choose, and that's just not the case at all. I chose this.
Many cities don't like to see people living in vehicles, and we do hope to change that trend, and I think that NVRC will do that.
Having an organization like NVRC is important because they speak with policymakers and represent the community as a whole to give everybody what they need.
I think it's very valuable that you can be in communication with people that actually affect change, especially in communities, and establishing parking spots and legit areas for people to feel comfortable and not feel like they are outsiders.